All right, everybody, welcome to episode 3 of Two Bellinis and an Omelet. I'm Bellini number 2, Bridget, and
I'm Bellini number one, Susan. Oh,
yes, you are. We
Susan.
have a little bit of technical difficulty, so Sue's microphone will be in front of her mouth the entire time because her video's a little delayed. But the most important thing is that we can hear the absolute honey that is your voice.
So when I talk, it's not matching my mouth like
It's not
this.
syncing up, but I think we're going to be okay. So we will give it we will give it
How
a
about if I
whirl.
just sit like this and then
Yes.
I go like these? and then you just can't see anything or hear anything.
No, I don't want to do that. We need to see your beautiful face. And it'll, if you keep that microphone in front of your mouth, it's going to be great. All right. So, first of all, cheers to you, my
Oh,
co-host.
ooh, wait. Where is it?
I don't know.
There it is.
Cheers.
Ching, 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 ching,
Ching,
ching,
two
ching.
Bellinis. Here we
Hang on a
are.
minute.
So here in episode 3, cheers to you. We are going to talk today. We're
That's a
going
big
to
swig.
start getting into some of the more is- specific aspects of caretaking. We're going to start at the very beginning. So today's topic is when someone you love gets sick. And I think generally it's a very uncomfortable topic because we spend, as we highlighted in the last 2 episodes, we spend a tremendous amount of time in denial that because our bodies work and our family members are healthy, that nothing is ever going to happen. But we are here to tell you firsthand that sickness and death do happen. It's inevitable. And the sooner that we talk about it and start demystifying it, that I believe and Sue believes can help you navigate it better. So, um,
Yes.
I don't know, Sue. I personally believe that where possible, I know just in retrospect for myself, I wish I had talked more to my brother when he found out he was ill and my sister. Um, Sometimes that's not possible, but I think if you are able, I don't know, do you think it's worth approaching someone before they get sick to get an idea of what they think about the topic and if they have any ideas about how they want their treatment to go down?
So do you mean talking to them after they get the initial diagnosis?
No, I
Before
mean
they get
before.
sick or beforehand?
Yeah, like when we're healthy. We don't do a lot of
Yeah.
that. We don't talk about sickness and death while we're healthy.
Yeah. Again, looking back, I think I feel the same way. I think there's broad ways to have the conversation about God forbid something happens, what would you want? What would you do? Like how would we come together as a family? What would we do? What do you want from us? Because you don't want to, like you said, it's somebody with an illness. They're not ill. It's someone with an illness, right? So you want to treat them with respect, but or us, God forbid. Yeah, I think it's a good conversation to have. Looking back, for sure I do.
Do you think that your mom would or your dad would have been amenable while they were healthy?
I'm not sure my mom would have had the conversation. My dad, who, as you know, just turned 90, would have the conversation now. We've been kind of having conversations about it since my mom passed. Um, and more so recently, because I think he feels it's a good thing to have now. Yeah.
So
But I
he's,
don't think my mom would have done it
and why do you think your mom wouldn't have done it?
because my mom was very afraid of dying.
Yeah, of
She
course.
was always that way. And so I just don't think putting it out in the universe and having a conversation about it was something that she was willing to do.
Then that can go horribly wrong. I
Right.
find more often than not that if you broach it with people, which is a perfectly normal response, you just want to shut it down,
Right.
right?
And I
You know,
think part of it was when Scott got hurt. So when my brother got hurt, he was 17. And I think that scared my mom. On top of that, her fear already was then leaving her children, and especially leaving my brother. I
yeah.
think that magnified her fear of death. Yeah.
Do you think there would have been anything that you could have said to her to facilitate a conversation, or do you think in general most people are just so against it and in denial that it's not approachable?
I think if we had sat down as a family and kind of talked about my brother, started with that and kind of discussed it. And I think had we really known the history of my mom's family, yes, I think we could have had a healthy conversation because as we know with, like my mom's family had dementia, it runs in the family. And so I think had we come to her and said, we just want to have this conversation because if something is to happen, our relationship is amazing and wonderful, and the illness will bring us closer while it slowly takes you away. And
Mm.
so you want to have that conversation before you don't have a right to say anything.
Well
But
said.
I think she always trusted my father on everything,
Yeah. And
you
that's
know,
very
which
common.
we all did. But
That's, yeah,
yeah,
it's very, and that kind of puts a burden on your dad.
and it does. And I think as a mom, which I think your mom was the same way, and I find myself being the same way, is you don't want to leave your kids.
Of
It's
course.
hard enough leaving a spouse, but you think they're fine. They'll find someone who's probably more fabulous. I don't know. But leaving your children is very difficult and you don't want to think about that. But then you do have to prepare in case, God forbid, it happens.
Right. So
So,
so that's really the battle, right?
yeah.
Between being in an understandable state of denial, but
Yeah.
knowing it's going to happen. And I think that's
Yes.
really what we're talking about today, because in that state of denial, it is going to happen. Your brother
Yes.
was out of the blue. Your brother was paralyzed at the age of 17, which
Yeah.
changed everybody's life. You became an automatic caretaker. You had
Yeah.
to drop out of college. You gave up a swimming scholarship and a career, and you went home to help. And
Yeah.
certainly, even if you had talked about the potentiality of tragedy and crisis in
Yeah.
your family, it wasn't going to make Scott's injury any less sad or grief stricken.
Right. I think Scott's, again, was life changing in the sense that we really had no control over his care, like his outcome. I mean,
Right.
really medically, there's only so much you can do, right? And I think the doctors were fantastic on helping us make a plan. So I think for him, it was very different from my mom's, which I'm,
Sure.
I know you felt the same way with your family, but my mom's was something that there were choices and things that we could do because she could live a long time with it. She would
Right.
slowly, kind of leave the person that we knew, whereas my brother was changed in like an instant. And it was out of
Exactly.
his hands. I mean, it was not, something he did.
Right.
And so that was very different. I think one was very devastating on my mom, which I think did affect her mental health a lot, which I think contributed to her dementia
Sure.
at an early age. So yeah, there's that difference there. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think also, so, and that really highlights something. So your brother had a very rapid onset acute paralysis at a very
Yeah.
young age.
Instant.
Your mother had dementia, which was a
Vascular.
long-standing disease. So you have two very
Yeah.
different scenarios that
Yeah.
nobody asked for. There was no predictive behavior that you ever could have counted on. And that's how life works.
It is.
You're
Yeah.
going, someone you love is going to get ill. And it's very different with a sibling and a parent. So I
Same thing
lost,
with your family. Yeah.
yeah, two of my brothers and my sister, and each one of them were different with their illness. I had a mentally handicapped brother who got sick very slowly
Flame
and
on,
passed
brother.
away. Yeah. And then Julie had cancer. Phil had cancer, and so there's a whole lot at play.
Right.
There's the dynamic with the family member that gets sick and your
Yep.
relationship with them,
Yep.
and how they handle their own illness, right? So all of
Yeah.
my siblings, everybody in my life who got sick and passed away, who I walked with them during their illness and death, they were all adults. And that is an entirely different experience. So I think sharing these stories that we just have kind of highlights the fact that life is unpredictable. And
Right.
there's only so much you can do. So that when you get the call that your sibling has been paralyzed, or your mother has dementia, or your brother, shows up at the ER with jaundice and it turns out
Right.
he has terminal pancreatic cancer. Um, then you are, as a loved one and as a sibling or a daughter or a spouse or a friend, you are in a position to say, what can I do to help. And it is really
Yes.
hard when it is a family member that you love and have a very close relationship with. And I know that you go through fear, grief, anger, guilt. They're all normal and you can't really avoid them. You can stuff them down, you can drink a lot, you can avoid
Mhm.
them for a while, but
Yeah.
um, in dealing with your feelings when you were called into service for your brother and your mom, you talked about it briefly in the last show, that the stress was so overwhelming, and yet you had two of your own small kids to deal with.
Mhm.
And you said differently, you would take better care of yourself. What
For
would you
sure.
do specifically in those instances? What would you do differently now? Because we still have caretaking ahead of us. We're aging.
Ew.
Your dad's alive. My dad's alive.
Yeah.
What would you do differently because it's going to happen again?
It's gonna happen again. I well, besides which besides you, I know that you were my rock and I leaned on you a lot, probably unfairly sometimes, but I knew that you kept me in check. I think I would have had my like a a plan for me, a plan for the family, and a plan for the person we're loving to care for. I was good about having like this chalkboard at the house, and we all had different colors on them for our days, our events, the kids' sports, our work, because I knew at some point I'd have to say, I need someone to step in. I was not great about that.
Yeah,
So
no,
I think I would have been better about letting my kids still have their lives, trying not to affect it, but I would have reached out more to take the burden off myself so I could have enough left in my tank to help take care of my mom, which is really at the time, or like be a good wife, be a good friend. I wish I would have told people more of how I was feeling. I would have expressed more in the sense of asking for help. And I would have been honest about my struggles because I do feel like that was part of the reason my mom got so sick is she just was raised to suck it down, a little bit. And I was very similar in that sense that I was just that strong-willed. Um, I definitely would have reached out to more people. I would have made sure I had better resources
Mhm.
um, for not only the kids, but for myself in regards to that. I would have been better about getting my sleep, doing
Yeah,
my exercising. I let go of exercising completely. And I would have been great about finding some sort of stress relief, whether it was journaling, yoga. I would have been better about my mental health because you realize how much they go hand in hand.
yeah,
And I saw the toll it took on me, like with the weight and everything else going on. Because I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't honoring who I was as a mom or a wife or a friend.
yeah.
I put everything I had in the caregiving and to my kids and
Mhm.
my husband as much as I could, and I just kind of lost sight of it.
Yeah,
But
and it's
looking
easy.
back, I would have been better about that for
It's
sure.
easy to do, and I think that's
Takes a
probably
village.
you really, yeah. Well, and the thing is, you realize you need a village, and that's our advice
Yeah,
today.
as a village.
And the note I have down here is summon your tribe. Get your tribe to your
Yes,
side. Don't
yes,
wait because I think as women, I mean, men have their own burden. We've talked about that. Summon your tribe. Get your friends. Get your other family members who are able to help out. And also look for, I mean, while you're healthy, look for resources. Know that
for
you're going to need
resources.
nursing care at some time. And one valuable thing that I'd like to drop in here, because we have very little time left, actually.
Oh man,
Um,
sorry.
when your family member is hospitalized, you are automatically assigned a case manager.
Yes,
So upon admission, your family member is assigned a case manager. Do not waste time getting in contact with that person because that person is solid gold. They have nurses who will come to the house when they're released,
right.
physical therapy, occupational therapy, emotional support for the family. I would say that a hospital case manager's job is one of the hardest in the world because they have
Agreed.
so many people to try and connect with resources. So that, I mean, if you take anything away from today's conversation, get in touch with a case manager. If your loved one is not yet hospitalized, I am going to share with you some advice that my husband gave me on our walk this morning. And I
Oh,
think it's really good because he and his siblings have been walking with their parents who are in their
yes.
90s. He said, you know, don't don't ask your loved one if you can help them and what they might need. Just do it. If
Yes.
you see that they're not walking well, if you see that their hygiene is not going well, if you see that their food or their plates are stacking up, there's going to be signals in the house
Mhm,
that they need help.
mhm.
Just act.
Yep.
Don't ask them.
Agreed. Agreed.
It's, you can still maintain dignity, but don't waste time if you know that the converse, because most people who are aging want to remain independent,
They
understand.
do.
But if you get those resources by being observationally acute, I mean,
Mhm,
like you have observational
mhm.
accuracy
Yeah.
and you see that help is needed, find the resources first, and then perhaps you can start a conversation. Because I know that when my husband went to his parents and said, we're gonna start interviewing some home care people, they were just like, "Are you kidding me? What are they
I
gonna
know.
do? Stare at me all day?" And the reality is, there was this very delicate dance to get help in the house. So
Yeah. Yeah. And like, no,
resources
they're going
are
to clean to allow you to stay where you are. They're going to do things to help. So when we're together, our time is focused on each other. We're not focused on the other things that we're doing to help make it easier on you. Let someone else make it easier so we can be together.
absolutely. So
You
it's
know?
going to happen, and it can happen acutely, like with Sue's brother. It can happen over the course of time, like Sue's mother,
Mhm.
and it can happen where it's just
Yeah.
basic elder care and aging. We need to be observant. We
Yeah.
need to take care of ourselves.
Mhm.
And from my standpoint, a good way, work out, summon your tribe.
You're so good about that.
I am. I'm to the point where I'm pretty selfish. I mean, when I was flying back and
It's not
forth,
selfish to care for yourself. You always told me that. It is
no,
not selfish to care for yourself. And I didn't
it's not.
understand it. I get it now.
It's, whatever it is that brings you relief, whatever it is, even, I mean, even in the most acute times when my brother was dying
Yeah.
and my mom then found out she was dying, there was a very short period of time. I mean, I was having a lot of wine at night. You're going to do that.
Yeah.
That's going to happen, and it's
I'm
okay.
gonna do it right now.
It's,
I'm like,
there's
I'm
the
sorry.
bad. Um, it's the
Hang on.
way that you navigate it is up to you, and it's going to get
Yes.
nuts. It's going to be painful. You're going to be angry. You're going to want your life to be the way that it used to be. And with only 2 minutes left, I
Oh my
will
God,
repeat
really?
yeah, I know,
What?
right? I bet everybody watching is like,
My
thank.
microphone messed us up today. Fuck
No,
yeah.
your microphone did great. So just know
Oh,
you will get through it. But I would really,
yes.
here's my advice for our little session on what to do when someone you love gets sick. Start looking at resources and reading about illness now while people are healthy, and
Ask questions, ask questions, ask
ask
questions, and
questions, ask questions,
research. Especially your doctor. Ask your doctors.
ask the
When
doctors,
at the end
ask
of the day,
their
no, just
doctors.
ask the questions.
That's actually a really good resource. Whoever your parents or your loved ones general practitioner is,
Yeah.
their lead internist, go to that person because they are a wealth of resources and they will connect you. For as busy as American medicine is today
Yes.
and as disjointed as it may seem, there are tremendous resources at your disposal. So don't forget that at the bottom of our webpage here on YouTube, you can ask us questions. And if you need something, let us know in the comments section and we will do the research to help you
Yes.
out.
Oh my
Absolutely.
gosh. Okay, so next time we'll have to go through all things. I took all these really a lot of notes today, but our technical difficulties kind of took that away. So
That's okay. We're still learning and our audience is, we thank you for that.
yes.
You're going to be okay, people. What's your sign off? Love.
There are little sprinklings of blessings through this whole process that again are going to happen when you start to make sure that you have a plan in place. It
Yeah.
gives you a chance to cherish the blessings and
Well,
not be so stressed out. So
yeah, it doesn't have to be misery. Keep
no,
your sense of humor, right? And
and
two,
have a cocktail.
have a
Oh wait,
cocktail.
where'd my cocktail go? There it is.
Here's to that.
There it is. Cheers,
Here's to
cheers.
you. All
Love
right,
you.
everybody. We will see you next time. If you need anything, leave us a comment. All right. Thank you, Bellini number one.
Thank you, Bleeding number two.
Love you,
Love
girl.
you.
Cheers.